Hi everyone, Florian Puhani here. I think this new quite intense training video of mine needs a bit of explanation, because I don't want to trick you into believing this was my preferred method of training. Quite on the contrary, I'd rather prefer to spread out all my sets over the whole day. What you see here is the typical Friday morning cramming I have to do after a busy week when there are still muscle groups left to be trained. Usually I would have time to finish my weekly training pensum on the weekend, but I prefer to use that time for rest and carb loading. I don't like to eat carbs during the working week because they are difficult to dose and tend to make me sluggish. If you're curious what I eat instead, click the link in the info card. There you'll find a typical example of it. Now what do we have here? 5 reps of sling bell incline presses. Don't worry about the obvious reps in reserve. I promise you they won't be in reserve much longer. But first let me do the antagonistic movement. By the way, not all the muscles working in this exercise are antagonists to the incline press you've seen before. Both biceps and the long head of the triceps are working overtime here. But since they aren't really targeted in either of the two exercises, they can manage quite well. It's mostly the rear delts and the inner and upper back muscles, middle traps, rhomboids and the horizontal fibers of the lats that are working antagonistically to the chest. In order to not let the rest period for the chest get too long, I also kept it to 5 reps here. Clean reps, mind you, including a peak contraction every time. Now let's have a closer look at the exercises themselves. I believe I've never really talked about the sling bell incline press before. Usually I prefer the ring bell, because it allows me to start from a deeper stretch position. But a pair of ring bells would have been pretty impractical for supersetting with the chest-supported row. It's the long gripping range that made me give the sling bells the nod here. For the chest-supported row I can grab them short, just above the plates, whereas here for the incline bench press I almost need the whole length. And yes, that was a bumpy start. I tried to achieve a better pre-stretch compared to the first set, which meant for the first few inches I had to curl the weights in. Unfortunately, that made them swing. But I think over the course of the set I got it under control again pretty well. In hindsight, I think it would have been easier to let the sling bells touch down between reps to stop the swinging completely. For the second set of inverted rows, I tested the thumbs up grip. It felt rather unintuitive, but not bad at all. Apart from that grip, the movement itself felt exactly the same. I have to admit I'm a really pull-dominant athlete, which implies I should have used more weight or done more reps for that part of the superset. But as I said before, I wanted the rest periods to be roughly the same for both components. Also, as you can hear, I'm already breathing rather heavily, and I didn't want my cardiovascular fitness to become the limiting factor here. Anyway, this is the very first time I'm doing chest-supported sling bell rows on an elevated incline bench, so I trust the exercise did provide some new stimulus, even though my rate of perceived exertion admittedly was pretty low. Yes, I really took my time releasing the pinched slings from under the plates. I should have gotten them out of the way beforehand, when I was seeking my grip. Anyway, carb-depleted me didn't feel like hurrying. After all, I knew the next 5 reps would be really challenging. For the incline press, thumbs up is the only feasible gripping option. I also like to call this ulnar L grip, because my hands bend the sling into an inverted L shape, and the sling is going down along the ulnar side of my forearm. Now that was a relatively smooth start. But I wasn't content with the stretch in the bottom position, so I readjusted my grip. But even from that deeper starting position, I was able now to get the weights moving without making them unnecessarily swing. When it comes to new exercise variations, in most cases learning by doing really works for me. In my opinion, people who talk trash about exercises with a higher demand for stabilization just aren't patient enough to learn them properly. Because the more sets you perform, the smaller the instability factor becomes. Now, what catches my eye here the most is my calves and hamstring definition, not so much the main agent, which is supposed to be my back. And that goes for all the sets of chest supported rows in this video. The camera angle is too low to do my back really justice, but never mind my personal vanity. As you can see, I switched back to the thumbs down grip, just because it needed less thinking. At that advanced point in the course of the Tripel superset, I really wasn't keen on thinking anymore. Now, this might be the point at which I should confess I had actually planned to make it a quadruple superset. So far so good, here comes the fourth round of incline bench presses. I knew my chance of reaching another 5 reps was scarce, so I really took my time, not just for longer recovery, but also to prepare mentally for the final struggle with the weights. I guess I focused so much on the immediate task in front of me that I completely forgot I was still supposed to make it a superset. So I didn't eventually. Pressing more explosively didn't really help me here. Although I kept the swinging at bay, the third rep really was the end of the road for me, at least dynamically. The fourth rep turned into 10 seconds of isometric hold at this ticking point. And that gave me the satisfying sensation of thoroughly being done. Now I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please share it with as many people as possible. I also wouldn't mind a thumbs up, a comment, and if you're new to my channel, a subscription with the notifications turned on. Thank you for your ongoing support. My name is Florian, and I will continue to make an effort so that you don't get bored with your training.